Hi, everyone. We'll call the meeting to order. The Act 378 Subcommittee meeting. Sorry for the delay in this meeting. Rakisha, would you mind calling the roll?
Not a problem.
Okay.
Ms. Ashley? Here.
Thank you.
Ms. Nguyen? Ms. Stewart?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Ms. Zoot? We have four members.
Okay, thank you. So before we get started, I just want to remind you all of a few rules for committee members and members of the public attending in person. Please raise your hand to speak and wait to be recognized by me before speaking. To help the meeting run smoothly, please keep side conversations to a minimum and comments related to the topics we are discussing. For those committee members who are attending virtually, remember you must be on camera and have your first and last name showing to be counted towards our quorum. Please keep microphone muted unless called on by the chair. Electronically raise your hand to request to speak and wait to be called on. For attendees, electronically raise your hand to request to speak. Once recognized by the chair, your microphone will be turned on. After speaking, the microphone will be returned to mute. Also, the Q&A is to only be used by those needing ADA accommodations to participate in the meeting. Public comment will not be accepted via the Q&A, except for those individuals who requested that accommodation. As for order, committee members in person and virtually will be allowed to speak first. Public members in person will then be followed by the public participating virtually who have their hands raised. Comments in the Q&A will be addressed last. As with all hybrid meetings, it will be difficult to keep track of all those wanting to speak in person and virtually. Please be patient. All comments and questions from the public may be subjected to 2 minutes at the discretion of the chair. Please keep that in mind. Depending on time constraints, we may also limit comments to once per issue. All comments about a person's character will not be allowed. Finally, members of the public who have the opportunity to provide public comment before each will have the opportunity to provide public comment before each vote and during designated public comment period. The chair may also use their discretion to determine if comments will be accepted outside of those times. Follow the rules. So now we'll move on with our business. We need to review the October meeting summary, which was attached to the agenda. And we need a motion to adopt the October meeting summary.
I'm motion that
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Taylor. For a second. We have a second by Ms. Sashry. Any objections? Wait, let me make sure I'm going in my order. I'm not supposed to. Okay, is there any discussion? Is there any public comment? Okay, we have to do we will now do a roll call vote. Is that right? A vote yes means you approve the agenda and a vote no is to not approve. Keisha, please call the roll. I had that really wrong. Thank you.
Ms. Ashley? Yes. Ms. Ashley, yes. Ms. Nguyen? Ms. Stewart?
Yes.
Ms. Stewart, yes. Mr. Taylor?
yes.
Taylor, yes. Ms. Zoot? Yes. Ms. Zoot, yes. Ms. Hayno? Yes. Ms. Hayno, yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Rakisha. The motion to accept the October meeting summary has been passed unanimously. Okay, next we'll move on to our Office of Aging and Adult Services. Kelly Monroe is here to present her report.
Hey, everybody. Everybody should have the report in their packet. Things do look a little bit different from this quarter, from last quarter. Unfortunately, we did lose 4 individuals passed away and 1 went into a nursing home. So things are going to look a little different in this quarter's report. So, second quarter, we were able to serve 42 people. So what we did was we had some one-time funds that we were able to get some people, 2 home modifications, one vehicle modification, and then some medical supplies. So that's where that's going to come into play. So in that quarter, we were able to serve 17 of those identified as African American, and 24 were Caucasian, and then 1 was Hispanic. Of those, 28 of those were male and 14 were female. The age range from this time is 21 to 94, and I believe last quarter it was 33 to 94. The only change in the quarter in the region was in Region 4. Last time we served 2 people in Region 4, and this time we served 3. So total of 42 people there. All individuals receive support coordination. So there's 42 receiving support coordination, 37 receiving personal care assistance, 4 for rental assistance or utility, 8 for medical supplies, and then 2 for vehicle modifications, home modifications. We're attempting to spend the $888,997. And then there's the breakdown of the cost. Currently on the waiting list, there's 85 people, which we were able to lower the waiting list a little bit by giving some people some one-time funds. And in there, Region 1, there's 20 people. Region 2, there's 23. Region 3, there's 9. Region 4, there's 7. Region 5, there's 2. Region 6, there's 2. Region 7, there's 6. Region 8, there's 3 people. And then Region 9 is 13 for a total of 85 people. The demographics of those people are 39 of those are African American, 40 of those are Caucasian, and then there are 6 that are unknown because they did not complete the application process. So of those people, 36 of them are male and 49 of them are female. And like I said, we were able to take 4 people off of the waiting list. So we went from 89 people on the waiting list to 85. And the next page is going to show like what the services that they're looking for and the estimated cost of those. And if we were to serve all 85 of those people, we would need an additional $2.4 million, roughly, maybe 2.5. The next box kind of shows you a little bit about like what people are receiving already and then what they've applied for. And then some of them are not eligible for any of those. I think there were 8 applicants not eligible for any other services. And that is it. Does anybody have any questions? I'm sorry? You said it was perfect, you mean? I know, I'm playing with you. Okay. Anybody else?
No questions? Thank you for your report.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to our Office of Behavioral Health. Is Dr. Vicky on? Oh, I see you on the screen.
Yes, hi. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Please stop me if something happens to my audio. I've been having some intermittent issues with it, so please alert me if somehow my audio stops working. So I am going to go ahead and read off of a version of the report that I have because it has one update. I think as I had notified the council, we did not have one of the LGE's data at the time that we submitted the report, but we have that now. So just to review on consumer care resources, we have many of the LGEs, actually most of the LGEs are at or around or above 50% of their spending for the year, which is what we would expect for quarter two. A couple of the LGEs are a little bit under that, and they have noted reasons for that and reasons why they think they're going to catch up. So, for instance, a couple of LGEs note that their invoices for December weren't in yet at the time of reporting, and so they'll be closer to 50% once all of the reporting for quarter two comes in. And then, of course, there's capital area, which typically, this is capital area's spending pattern. They use different funding sources at the beginning of the year and then expend the majority of their consumer care resources funding towards the end of the year. So all of this, just to summarize, looks like the LGEs are mostly on track for their spending in the consumer care resources for the year so far. Any questions on that?
I don't see any questions.
So we could move to the Flexible Family Fund whenever the committee is ready.
You can go ahead, Dr. Smith.
Okay, great. So similarly with Flexible Family Fund, looks like LGEs are mostly on track. There are no major issues with slots being filled. If you'll note, every once in a while we have LGEs having a number of folks drop out of the program and then taking some time to get folks back in. That's not the situation we're in now. You know, a couple LGEs maybe have one or two slots that they're working on filling, but they're mostly you know, proceeding along with getting these supports out to families. So nothing too dramatic to note on this report. Everybody is looking like they're mostly on track. Any questions on that? And I sorry, I neglected to mention in the data point that's missing, the North Louisiana data, that's true for them as well. So I'll just say out loud, in consumer care resources, they have expended 69% of their funding, so they're sort of over where we would expect them to be for the year. And then for the flexible family funding, they have 21 out of their 22 slots filled. So just to verbally let you know that data. And I can send that updated report to the council. It just wasn't available at the time that the council had requested the reports.
Any questions?
Really.
Okay, you can move on to the next report, Dr. Suzuki.
All right, supported living. I'll wait until that gets up on screen.
Sorry, I'm releasing that.
No worries.
I don't know where it is. Oh, there we go.
I thought it was Brent, so I was gonna give him a hard time, but since it's you, I'm not gonna give you a hard time.
All right, I appreciate that.
Take the blame.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. So similarly, these are the LGEs that do operate supported living programs. They are reporting, you know, some folks are reporting that they've already expended all the funding for the year. Most of them are over 50%. Capital area in line with their spending pattern for the CCR funds also waits until later in the year to spend their funds. So they haven't spent any yet, but traditionally they do in fact catch up and spend all of those funds before the end of the fiscal year.
So, can't see this line is small, but I see this number, you got 15,000. I'm moving the right page fast.
Can you speak up a little bit?
The last page.
Is the last page,
She's on.
but she ain't on this page?
I don't think so.
Was that sorry, if that's a question directed to me, I may
Just
need to
trying
have
to-
somebody closer to the mic let me know.
No, we're just trying to, make sure he's looking at the right page right now.
Okay, okay,
Give us a second, please.
no problem.
Oh, I'm sorry. My glasses falling down, okay.
Okay, do we have any questions about the OBA report? Y'all making it easy for Dr. Sabiki. Okay, thank you, Dr. Sabiki.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we are now going to, we have made up our time. This is great. We are now going to move on to, the Office for Citizens with Developmental Disabilities. But before we receive the quarterly report, we're gonna do something a little different this quarter. Each quarter, what we wanna try and do is each quarter have, one of our local government entities, have an opportunity to share a success story. This idea came from, I'm on the Acadiana Area Human Service District Board, and sometimes at our board meetings, they'll use this strategy to be able to just make the connection of personal stories. We talk about that for the DD Council, about how personal stories are impactful, and we look at these numbers, and these numbers are great data points, but to hear the personal impact is really important. So this quarter, I've asked Troy Abshire, who is the DD Director for the Developmental Disabilities Director from Acadiana Human Service District, to share a success story. So Troy, not a lot of pressure, but you're our excitement for this committee, so can't wait to hear what you have to tell us. Oh, he's on, he's on.
Hello there. How y'all doing?
Hey, Troy.
Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. First, I want to thank you, Bambi, for inviting me to do this. You know, so many times we get calls of all the problems and issues that occur, and we really don't get to share some of the success stories. So this is a good idea, and I appreciate being the first one. So I'm going to talk about a situation that occurred, I think, about a year and a half ago. It all starts, I was actually barbecuing on a Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock. And I get a call from our executive director because he got a call about a situation in regards to a mother who had some substance abuse issues, but also had a daughter that was presenting that may be developmentally delayed, or possibly the person may have autism. So he gave me a name and a number, and I reached out. Actually, I knew the people at the hospital where they were brought. So what happened is there was a mother who had substance abuse issues, and she had overdosed, and she was rushed to the hospital, and she had a daughter who did have autism, and had no other relatives, no other person, no other caregiver. So they brought her along to the hospital. So they asked me if I knew of her. I did not, but luckily I only lived 10 minutes from the office. So I ran to the office, checked our system, and she was in our system, which was very good. So they told me the situation. Mom Odie, she needed to go to treatment, but her daughter, who was an adult, could not. So I immediately called upon one of our providers. We have some really good providers in our region and a couple of them, first I called, they have a respite center, a center-based respite center, and told them the situation. And asked them if they could go and assess the situation to see if they can meet with the young lady and determine if, one, could they help her, and two, if they could they please take her back to the center-based respite? And through our family support funds, we would fund that service until we can figure out what was going on. And so they went sight unseen, and they called me back about 40 minutes later, and they said, she definitely could come to our center. We will take her. And I said, look, full disclosure, not sure what's going on, her behaviors, I'm not familiar with her. They said, look, we'll make it work. So it's always good to work with your providers, and they call on them when you need. So they took the young lady to center-based respite, and she stayed there, oh, probably at least 9 or 10 months. So we utilized our family support funding to pay for that. And during that whole time, what we did is we applied for a waiver for her, got her screened. Of course, it came back a 4 because of the emergency situation. All at the same time, keeping communication with the mother to make sure we didn't lose that contact and all, and to keep them in touch with each other. She got a waiver, and we finally, at the end of last year, was able to find her an apartment. Well, her waiver still wasn't approved at that time, and we continued to use family support funds to fund it. The provider fell in love with this young lady. Like, they have, for lack of a better term, adopted her, and they are fiercely protective of her. And they have got her set up in the apartment, got the services needed. We worked with the support coordination agency to get everything in place. And luckily, we gave her a choice to choose a provider, because even though she had the provider as a center-based respite provider, she still has a right to choose her in-home provider. So we gave her that opportunity. And of course, naturally, she chose the center-based respite provider as her in-home provider because she was so familiar with them. But it's so important to offer choice to our individuals. And they got her set up, and she is thriving. As a matter of fact, we got notice that her waiver was finally approved on December 31st, and she is doing amazing. It's completely amazing how well she's doing. We weren't sure how it was going to turn out, but with the right supports, the determination of our waiver office, our family support staff, the provider, the support coordinator, we really put her in a really good situation, and she's doing amazing. It's a really amazing thing because we really wouldn't know what happened to her. Mom is still in the picture. We arrange visits for them to visit. I think they're visiting at least once a month, and the mom is on the road to recovery. The young lady is, like I said, thriving in her own place, and she doesn't want to go live back with her mom. She's actually happy living in her own place and having her own space, and doing the things that she enjoys doing. But there's still that family contact that we've gotten to arrange, and I think everybody's happy at this time. So it's really good turnout there.
Thanks, Troy.
Sure.
Any comments? Thank you, Troy. We appreciate it. And I think that's just a great example of the individual and family support funds, how important they are and impactful to have that flexibility. We look at the numbers on this legal size report and we see a lot of numbers, but that gives us like an idea of what exactly, how it's really meaningful and helpful, because without it, you wouldn't have been able to do what you did and get her to live in that life that she's living now, the life that she wants to live.
Yeah, and that's correct. And what's so good about family support, since we've gone to this tiered waiver, it almost acts as a transition for individuals. They may need services immediately. Well, we all know waiver, the process, if it's new, can take maybe 2 or 3 months. and family support can step in to provide those services to, if it is a crisis situation, to minimize the crisis or settle the crisis, get them stabilized, and then let the waiver process take over, and then transition over to the waiver supports and services. So it's a vital program in our thing. Also, I love it because it's not as bureaucratic. Waiver, you have so much paperwork. We have a policy with family support, but we have a lot of flexibility on how to use that money. We have a committee that we can gather quickly to approve the funds when needed and not have to go through, a 50-page plan of support, a plan CPOC, and getting a plan written and then approved and sending it to lasers and all this other stuff, SRI. So it's my favorite program because we can react and literally save lives.
A comment in the comment, Mr. Taylor?
And I like that y'all still, even though she's disabled, y'all still gave her the right to have a choice, and y'all didn't take that choice from her.
That's correct.
That still gave her the freedom to do what she wanted to do, and not take away from her with that.
That is correct. Yes.
Great, thank you so much, Troy, for sharing that story and for being our first DD director. Now your counterparts, they can look forward to coming sharing their success stories in future meetings.
Yeah, and we talk a lot. We have a DD director email thread, and there's a lot of success stories throughout the state. So everyone, every region is doing a great job. We bounce stuff off of each other, and even issues and successes and stuff. So y'all will get some great stories in the future as well.
Thank you.
Sure.
So now we'll move on to Mr. Herman Bigner with OCDD. You're here to provide the numbers, the data. All right.
I'd like to commend Troy, an excellent report. I'm the regional operations director for the LTE, so me and all the LTEs. And Troy's one of my go-to persons. When I can't figure something out, I need some advice on how to do something, I call Troy.
I do the same. So.
He is really good. All the DD directors are really committed to the service, and they'll do a good job. So I'm proud of all of them. In fact, I hired most of them.
You're a little biased.
Yeah. Well, on the handouts that were given on the second quarter expenditure report, Office for Citizens for Development of Disabilities Act 378 program report, the second quarter. Is that in your packet? And under the individual and family support data, we have initial 26 individual and family support budget. You'll see the total was $8,299,198, and then you have the total budget, which was a little more. They added a little bit to it, so it's $8,341,444. And you see what's expended, but I like to point out the percent year to date. So most of them are the percentage total now is 43%, but I feel very comfortable that they've always been able to bring that percentage up by the end of the year, spend most of their money. So you'll see that under the individual and family support from all the 10 LGEs, that they do have a balance, $4,758,984, and the number of people that they've served, 2,451, and that's really good. They're really providing services using family support to help support a lot of individuals. Any questions on the IFS? Okay. Flexible Family Fund on next part of that chart. They have the total budget, and as you see, the initial budget, $5,569,704. You'll see the total budget, was a little increase, $5,585,958. And you'll see that they're on target for spending about 50% of the funds that are dedicated for FFS. So there's never really a problem with them spending all of those funds. So you'll see too that the budgeted slots that we have statewide, all 10 LGEs, 1,805 individual slots, 1,807 are actually filled. So far, there is a 1,869 individuals receiving flexible family funds. And so now on the waiting list is 3,018. So a lot of the LGEs are here of the waiting list, and they're, the waiting list is basically a first come, first served kind of project that they have that list and they work it. And many of them will actually have where they'll transfer funds from family flexible, from individual family support to the FFF funding so they can serve a few more people. And if you look at some of the notes down below, you can see some of the notes. It's like Capital Area Human Service District fund an additional 5 slots for flexible family fund to assist reducing the waiting list. So they're all aware of it. They're working hard to try to reduce it. But as people come off, more people come on. So it's a revolving thing, but that's a good thing. That's good that they're getting the information out to families about the program, and they're working it very diligently. So I'm okay with that right now. Any questions on that?
No, looks good.
So the next one is the Act 73 compliance report, and just the information from all of the 10 LGEs. And it's based, this particular report, we are required under the legislation that all to determine and get from the budget documents for the state that the amount of state general funds that are allocated to the 10 LGEs, and you'll see that list. And at the total of the total LGE state general funds, it's $144,113,816. So that's what the LGEs would have the allocation for their budget. 9% of that is the next column. So the requirement is that we expect them to use 9% of the total budget for state general funds and FFS funding for those two services. So you'll see the amount of 9% of the state general funds for DD services. You see the total is $12,970,243. That's at 9% of their total budgets that they have. Okay, for state general fund budgets. If you look at the next column, you'll see the total IFS/FFF budgeted by the LGEs. You'll notice on the first handout, it wasn't correct. I looked at it, it didn't make sense to me. So I said, maybe the formula wasn't correct. So we redid it. And so the handout that y'all received has the correct information. It may not be on the back sheet of the sheet in your packet, but it should be on a handout. So they gave y'all handouts. So anyway, if you look at this report, they have actually 9% of the total state general fund budget for each of the 10 LGEs, total $12,970,243. So if you look at the next column, total IFS/FFF budgeted by the LGEs, that total is more. So many of them, not only did they fund the 9% amount, but many of them exceeded it. So they exceeded it by $957,159. So I was very, very pleased with that. So they're required to have at least at 9% available and budgeted, but they actually exceeded that. You can see some of them have the same amount in each column, amount of the 9% funds and the total of the next column. They're like the first one, 1,646,224, and you see budgeted 1,646,224, the same number. But as you go down the list, you see many of them has really exceeded that 9% amount. So I was very pleased to see that they've actually exceeded that 9%. So to me, that's really good. I'm very happy that they were able to do that. So I just subtracted the difference, come up with, and it's not on your report. I just did it before I came in, but it's about $957,159 that they put in the budgets above the 9%. You'll see what's been expended, and you see the total up to this part of the year of the 9%. So they're right at 50% of the funds being spent. So I don't think there'd be any problem with them utilizing all of these funds at the end of the fiscal year. So I was very pleased. This is my first time to actually review these documents that Tanya did it at the last meeting, her last meeting here. And so I was very, very pleased working with one of my colleagues at our office, Brandy Croft. Y'all know Brandy. And so we were able to put it together. So this is my first attempt. So if y'all have any problems or questions, if I don't know the answer, I'll try to get it for you.
I have a question for you that I probably knew it sometime, but I'm just not remembering. For state general fund, what are those funds? Because I know that the human service districts and authorities, they get different funding sources. So the state general funds, does that include like their Medicaid reimbursement they get for the behavioral health services?
No, that's basically state general fund.
It's just a direct allotment that they get.
Yes.
It's not the fee for services that they bill for behavioral health or like any crack or
That's my
grants.
understanding.
Okay.
But I'm not a budget person, but that's my understanding.
Okay.
I'm talking about. That's why the legislation was passed under Act 73 that 9% of the state general funds that the human service district gets, that's for the DD services, the behavioral health, and the mental health addiction disorder services that they provide. And that's all of them. 9% of that, the total funds that they get, state general funds allocated by the commissioner, administration, and the budget process and LDH, is supposed to be used for IFS and FFF services of funds. But that's where the 9% came from. And then you'll see that many of them actually took additional funds over the 9% requirement, which I thought was really great. So I feel very good about it, very happy and very pleased to see that. I'm hoping it'll continue that way. So that's their current budget right now, and that's going to serve and help many individuals and families.
Do you have any other questions? Yes, Elaine?
I was just curious, I think last meeting, whenever we're going over the IFS priority requests and expenditures report, that there was a lot of the use of other to identify services and goods provided. And I was just curious if we had an update on whether or not they added more categories or kind of where we were with that.
We've discussed it, Brenton. We kind of discussed it, but we never. Didn't we add some additional category, a few other things to it? I wasn't quite sure. I know we just talked about it and we're going to add some additional things to it, but the list is pretty comprehensive of what is identified. For
Yeah, we had talked about specifying some things, but I thought it was going to go back to the LGEs for them to, I guess, gauge what they're using their dollars for and recommend some of those additional
other
sort of
categories.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think it would be helpful if they would share what they see more of what falls in that other category, so that we can start seeing. So, because I know we had talked about maybe differentiating some of the items, like if it is, you know, something that might fall under, you know, incontinence supplies, but it might be a clothing item, so they put it under clothing because they see it as a clothing item, but it's really something more under incontinence supplies, trying to figure out that sort of, I guess, breakdown that might be there.
Well, I don't have the documents with me, but I thought what was submitted last time did have a long list of those other items that they were, I think.
It has a lot of lists, but there was some large dollar amounts that was in the total for other. So it made it kind of,
And some of them did include in the notes, I think, what some of the others were, but it was a large dollar amount. And not all of them had specification of what the others were, so I think our request
And that's
was
a report that's at the end of the year.
yeah.
just to try to pin down what some of those other things were, so that we could have an idea of what it was actually going
And
to
I'll have to
versus other.
try to find that report wherever Tanya left it. And
Yeah,
look
I
at
mean,
it.
we can send the report to you that she would send us the report. She just pulls up or did pull up, I think it's like an IFS expenditure report, which basically just lists all the however many contracts they had, what was encumbered, what was
So that was
spent.
in the last packet, right?
That was in the last packet,
Okay.
yeah. And I went back and checked the notes, and that's what we had talked about, getting with the LGEs to kind of look at what each one of them keep dropping in that other category and figuring out if we need to add additional categories to that report. And to better clarify what that other might have been. Because we did some work years ago and kind of trying to clear out that other, because I think some categories were added to make it a little bit more detailed, but we've noticed.
I
over the
thought we
last
talked
year,
about
they
adding some
jumped up again.
additional things, but I can't remember exactly what those were. In a while. So,
I'd have to go back in the transcript because I think we threw some things out maybe in committee, but I think the ultimate goal was getting the LGEs to kind of come up with some of those
I'll
categories.
follow up on it and see what we come up with and report back at the next meeting, maybe. Or- That work?
Yeah.
Next meeting? Okay, I'll do it. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Herman on the OCDD reports? Seeing none, thank you, Herman. Welcome back. The committee. Please note that after this meeting, the Education and Employment Committee will meet at 4:15 p.m. Also tomorrow, the full council meeting, which will start at 10 a.m. It will be in the same room. Those that are registered to participate virtually should have the links to the meetings in their email. Does anyone on the committee have any other announcements to make? Anyone wishing to share, is there anyone wishing to share public comments? Okay, so I will adjourn the meeting at 3:58. We made up our time. Thank you, guys.